Hello everyone, this is 3D printed animatronic creature part 45. This is just an update. Just getting everything kind of prepped. About to start setting up the VSA, but I had to do wire work and make some adjustments to some linkages. But I did some other things too, like trying to make some type of a form to cover underneath the collar area, the chest plate area. Just doing some testing, see if I like it. And I had some other design things that I've been working on too. I even thought about putting a full body on this little alien creature. Nothing as far as the detail of skin, but just something to, I could probably put some, some kind of baby clothes on it and make it move, because it's about 33 inches long head to toe. But I've been working on that and working on other things too, like this little other the next big creature. Now, this will probably have about 14 servos in the head, but this is just me doing a concept designing. Now, that box behind there is that new bamboo printer that has the bigger build platform. I just wanted to see if I could do the exact same thing for this design as I did for the 3D printed animatronic creature. But this would have a lot more movements and don't really know what I'm going to do with the mouth yet because it's going to have to be a little lower. And I thought about like an insect thing, but still, it would be kind of difficult to get that many servos in it. But I've been working on, a conventional, like a human mouth type, but it could probably have some fangs or something. But I even thought about doing it like a bug kind of creature, like a kind of a, predator look. But I really don't want that. I want something different and original. But overall, you have about, in the human face, you have about 43 movements or 43 muscles, they say. But, that would be equaled out. 43 movements would be like 43 servos. That's a lot of servos, even for small ones. But I also been working on this wolf. I'm about to test it. We're going to get a servo controller and get it up and running. I don't think I don't have anything in as far as the muzzle doesn't work. The jaw just opens and the eyes blink and the ears move. It's just a test. But also, I've been working on these big Hulk teeth, and now this is a pretty good size arch for some human-looking teeth. But as you see here, I'm just doing a salt and pepper method as far as pouring in dental acrylic, just getting these so I can carve away any excess tooth acrylic so I can replace it with gum. Once again, I'm using dental acrylic and monomer, and I'm curing them in a pressure pot at probably about 15 pounds of pressure, and then I just kind of trim up this with a wheel and some discs, get in between the gingivas, things like that, just to make sure I can seat these back in. But I have more video on this. But I just wanted to show you what I've been doing because it's been kind of a busy month. Had a lot of things going on this month, and but mainly in health and just overall things, you think you're getting ahead, but you just get further behind. But this was another thing I had trouble with. This beam right here was in this animatronic. Well, this beam was too long. And I did a test a while back, but I forgot to remove it. And I was designing these linkages right here for the neck, and I kept having them, they were somewhat too short. And well, I made them too long, but it didn't make any sense, and that was the problem. That center rotational axis for the gimbal was just too long, about 24 millimeters too long. So replaced it with original what the one was supposed to be in there, and it fixed it. But I've been getting this thing really prepped so I can put the skin on, but like I need to set up the servo controller, and I need to set up VSA. And first, I got to make sure that these wires reach because this head's going to have that has 8 servos in it is going to be rotating, and I'm using extensions, and I want to just make sure that everything is in its correct position. Now, before I set up my VSA, on your servo controller, you have the numbers set for that channel. But I got to make sure that I have enough, I guess, enough slack in the wires when it rotates, it doesn't catch. And all of these were going to go in this so-called hole next to the controller. Well, later on you'll see where I changed that design to where I want it to go underneath the animatronic. And once, earlier in an earlier video, you I had said that I was going to replace these stands, the last that's up against the base, with you know, some some beams and things, and you'll see me change those too. But here is a servo with a servo reverser with Y cables, and this is what I'm getting. If I don't have a servo reverser, this is what I'll have. But on the animatronic design, we have one servo that is reverse, and that's the blink mechanism. And it has to be done correctly, and it has to be put on the one that we originally did it in the very beginning. So it, it's on the left eye. If you look from behind, that has the servo controller. I mean, that has the servo reverser. So overall, I'm just trying to thread everything. But once again, I kind of have the servo controller by itself. It's just going to be probably more likely just tucked underneath there and stuck down with probably some Velcro or something like that, so I can able to get inside there. When I remove the glass dome, I can program it to what I want it to do, and it will just play its routine. But and I like having mine hooked up directly to the computer because you can just always program something into it. But now this, the servo controller is a really good servo controller, and I'm happy with it. But right here, I am testing with the RC radio, each mechanism, making sure that everything is centered. And I don't want to put it in there where it's like I might have moved it or whatever. I want to put it in there and find its center for each movement. And this is the eyelids. And then I have the brow, the center upper lip, the lower lip, the jaw. And there's a certain placement on this servo controller that it needs to be. Now I have this on channel 0, and it goes through 0 through 12. So, but I'm just going to basically demonstrate how I'm just hooking this up to the servo controller, so then I can set up BSA servo controller, so we can get a routine going. And as you see here, this is what I have so far. And but you'll see here on the right here the listing of the channels all the way. There's 11 channels, but they have 0 in the number system. But and as you see here, I have my eyelids, brow, center lip, upper lip, lower lip, jaw, right gimbal, left gimbal, and turn gimbal. And that's the way it's going to be set up on the software. And I got to make sure when I have that set up, I need to make sure to put stops on the servo controller software VSA to where I don't want to move that servo too many degrees to the left or to the right. I need to make sure that I can pretty much set that up correct to where I don't, open the jaw too far, you know, and or close the eyelids too close where it could actually damage it. So I need to put the degree of a stop inside to control this whole mechanism for the animatronic things. But I'll do a routine, but this will probably be later on during next week. I'm just trying to get this all set up, and then I can also finish hairing the skin, and then as soon as that's finished, I can put the skin on the animatronic, and we can get this creature to come alive. I am getting kind of excited because I really want to get this animatronic creature, moving. And we have 10 channels, 11 servos, because one of the servos is reversed for the eyelids. But as soon as we get this done, we can really start animating it. And I feel like doing this is kind of like a form of go motion animation, because you're moving a little bit at a time, and when you with VSA software, you're doing the mixing as you're programming the animatronic to move like you want it to move. And that's why I've been using it since 2004 and I love it. But but as you see here, I'm still going through the testing of each movement. And as you see here, this is the center lip, and it's really not going to go, most of the movements is just a few millimeters. and and that's what I'm wanting to get all, you know, I guess tweaked out, just make sure everything's is correct, everything's got power, because I wouldn't want to put an animatronic skin on and not sure if the servo's working right, or that, because once again we're going to probably have to secure this with a type of adhesive, and more likely that uh that smooth on adhesive used for silicone. But as you see here, I'm removing that back, I guess, organized plate for all the wires and the servo controller. And I just, this right here, what it was doing, the wires would be inserted there, and I could never put the glass dome on. And even though, it, it doesn't have to be covered, but yet I would feel better if it was that way, you know, it would be protected. And it's it's a big project for this kind of, once again, I, this whole project here is about a $2,500 project, and little bit, maybe a little more, a little less, but that's pretty much how it's going to go. Now that one I mentioned earlier that had 14 servos in the head, you know 14 servos, and good ones at that, would probably be close to $1,000, if not more. But as you see here, I'm just kind of, uh, I have it here on this, just a simple plate, and I'll just tuck it underneath it. And now, right here with the collar, the chest piece right here, where silicone's going to be laying, I was wanting to design. I do like the beam look, but the beams are not inserted yet. But then I could just cover this whole thing to cover up any wires or anything like that. But I did another design, kind of more of a drape, that inner circle would be covered. But it, just trying to figure it out. And then that's when I started doing this, I said, man, I could just design a body for it. And I had been doing that too. It's just always trying to design a better animatronic, or see if it could be done. But overall, this would just all be tucked underneath the animatronic itself and just stuck with some Velcro, and then I could just still program it. And plus, I got power wires going underneath the whole, design, so I could run the power to it. Because you have to have the power for the servos for the servo controller. The servo controller is controlled by a USB. And I did get a USB and a longer 12-foot cord, so I could just program it from a distance. But overall, I'm happy with it. I'm getting excited. I'm ready to put the skin on. Yeah, but as you see here, I'm going to change out these. Now, these on the wooden base now are standoffs, that I'm going to put these other these hole beams from Smooth On City, and it's going to bump it up a little bit, about 16 millimeters higher. And it's a little higher now, but yet I'll be able to push that servo controller underneath it, because the turn gimbal servo is what's blocking it. So I had to give me a little bit more space, so I just made it a little higher, and it's not going to interfere with the glass dome that goes over. And overall, I just want it to be a nice display, just to be able to display this animatronic. And but once again, we have 11 servos and a full head silicone mask to put on this animatronic, and we'll be able to get this thing up and running before you know it. But I'm getting excited. But it's just the planning part and making sure that you have this all ready for the skin, and then you got to attach the skin to the animatronic, and then we can start programming some movements. And I'll probably program some movements before I actually put on the animatronic skin. And then that way, as soon as we get it all connected, all the skin placements as far as the stick points, and we can just run that routine and see how it looks. And then I have to I'm gonna probably add a tongue to the teeth for this animatronic. But as you see here, I got clearance, and it's you know, it's coming along. I mean, all this is going to be covered with its chest plate here, and then I'm going to have that covered. You won't see none of this, and plus I have 3 more wires to connect, and that's the gimbal, which is 3 servos for the gimbal. But it's coming along. I'm happy with it. It's at a good height, and but I appreciate y'all, and thank y'all for all the questions, and I try to answer them, y'all. It's just been a crazy month. But thank y'all, and thank y'all for subscribing and likes and the comments. Keep them coming. But once again, appreciate y'all. Thanks. Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. This is 3D printed animatronic creature part 46, wiring and VSA movement testing. Well, I've been working on it, and I've been working on some large teeth, and just been kind of, I've had some issues with my computer and things, and just been dealing with that. But overall, you know, just this animatronic's coming along, and I can't wait to get the skin on. But here's just a brief summary of what I've been working on. But as far as you see the core and the mold, and all this was mainly designed around the Bamboo's uh, P1S printer as far as the build platform for me to achieve this goal. And but once again, I'm about to start finishing the hair on this, but I'm at a point to where I need to pull it off. But I'm just doing a, you know, I guess overall process of this animatronic, and on how to make the skin, design the animatronic first, and make a core, and then design a mold for the skin, and it's just the whole process. And a little over a year, you know, I've been working on this YouTube channel on this project here, and I'm just really happy to share this with y'all and just show you here. I'm working on the servo controller and all of the wiring, and just make sure I have clearance. But I had this other device, this other print to hold that in place. But so I changed it around so I could just tuck it in. And this is the power system that and this is at from Go Builda, you know, at Servo City, they carry it too. And this is really, I like this power situation right here, where you can just charge up the 20-volt battery. It's just like kind of a drill battery. And you just place this 6-volt adapter here, you know, kind of and then this just plugs right on in. And this is what I'm using to plug, or this is what I'm using to power the animatronic, all the servos. And but you know, I'll just snap this in place, and there's a power button on the other side, and turn on the power, and then the the control power is from the USB, and it's powering the so-called controller board. But it's coming along. It's just a slow process. Just make sure everything is powered. Make sure all the linkages are correct, and all I do here is, as you see here, I got I'm setting up the gimbal right now, I believe it is. But this is the power onto this Maestro 12. But I, I was doing some things with my computer, and I was thinking about, well, let me just put this other servo controller from RC Endurance, and they have a wonderful uh, controller, but I don't know if they're still open yet, because I have checked their website several times in the past, and I mean within this year, or maybe this year and last year, The website was down, but it's back up. So I really hope they have some. I'm gonna try to order me another controller from them because I this is the controller I'm talking about. This is a great controller, and I really enjoy it. I've had this one a number of years, and I've used it for testing a lot of my animatronics that I've designed with this controller here. Uh, the reason why I went with a Maestro because I'm only using uh, I think it's 10 channels in the whole thing, so really no need to have a really big controller, which is, I guess the Maestro is about half the size. But overall, I like this because, if I want to control more, I have, room. But this is 25 channels right here, and it's at a good price. But I want to see if he's legit still open. But this is pretty much plug and play with this controller, but also with the other one. And I had some problems with setting up my com, but I was able to, you know, finally get it up and running on. This new computer has had, y'all seen me start building it like I guess 6 months ago. It's had some issues, and this is an AMD chipset on this, and I'm used to Pentium, and I kind of miss it. But yet, I'm happy with the computer. There's just been a lot of things I've had to work out. But this is me, right here, programming BSA, setting up all the channels on what they're going to be moving, and then I just pretty much just make a small routine. But what you're not seeing off camera is the actual animatronic moving when I, activate one of these channels and make some kind of movement because it'll move real slow. It's like, once again, it's kind of like go motion, you're telling the computer to make the movement. Let's say, for instance, the jaw, it opens and it opens a little bit, then it closes. And this is what I'm doing as far as the way you program your movements with VSA. And I've once again been using it for since 2004, and I've really not played with much other ones. I have. There's a few softwares out there that do it, but I'm just, you know, it's a good thing, so why go to something different? But it's just movements I'm doing. I'm getting everything, trying to figure out where my stops are going to be because when I'm programming the movement, I don't want to go too far, and I'll demonstrate it here in this video. But this is just me just running and just seeing what kind of clearances I have, make sure where I need to, I wanted to see how it will look up, if it's moving, because it's got the I guess upper chest silicone there, and it's going to be stretching that skin area, and I just really I can't wait. I'm getting excited, but once again, I got to take off the skin off the core, so that way I can get underneath the chin to put some hair there and then finish up the hair overall. That's just in a bind when it's stuck on the core right now. But this is me just doing some movements with VSA, making sure everything's all good. And then now I'm going to start getting ready so I can put these teeth in here. And as you see here, it's just a slow movement, and I can speed this up in the software. And I even demonstrate later how I sped up the video times 4 just to see the movements quicker. But and that's another way to clean up a lot of the animatronic things is the camera work with speeding up the film. But the servos can move fast, and for these little cheap servos right here, they have some torque, and I was really impressed with these. I've been using them for testing animatronics for years. But overall, I'm happy with it, and I'm going to finish up on the skin, adding the what little hairs I need to add on there. I just don't want to start putting hairs on the face because you need to work from from bottom to top, not top to bottom, because that's how the hair is going to be laying. You don't want to have it laying where you're going to be laying the hair or punching the hair. Now here you're just seeing all the movements of the face. I have the 3 servos for the gimbal turned off. So I'm just running a test with all the movements that's inside the head. But overall, this is the whole planning of it, because when I'm ready to put on the skin, I got to make sure pretty much that all the movements are in their mid position. That way, because I designed it that way in the sculpture, that way the lips will connect at the halfway movement point, up, down, right there in the center. And that's why when I designed the core, I opened the mouth just maybe 4 millimeters. And that way, you know, you won't have closed lips. But this will be able to make it, it should be able to make it close its mouth. But overall, it's coming along. The jaw movement, as you see here, I can control the speed to make it much faster in this. But this is, once again, just testing the movements, making sure that everything, because I'm going to have to secure this skin with glue or an adhesive for silicone. So once it's stuck, it's going to be, something to have to. I mean, I just hope I don't have to go back inside. But you have the magnet thing, and you have to, you know, do you have the magnets embedded into the animatronic, or do you have it embedded in the skin? Something, as far as ferrous materials that attract magnets. But you just try to work things out, and making sure that that the bond to silicone with a magnet usually has to have something attached to the magnet, like with epoxy, like a mesh of some sort, fabric material. That way to give like a mechanical bond. But once again, that's a magnet thing instead of doing straight adhesive. But it's coming along. Just testing each movements here, as you see here. You got 2 upper lip movements, and then you got the one that's on the jaw is the bottom lip movement. But here, I don't think it's moving here, but I do have it moving later on. But I'm just ready to get the skin on. And but I've been, you know, tinkering around with ideas about the next animatronic on how big, because I'm still basing it, these future ones on the size of the build platform, because you got to calculate the size of the animatronic so you can do a molding process to make the skin. But and once again, Bamboo has a new printer out. I've been designing things according to its new build platform. But here, what I'm doing, it's time to put in the teeth, and I'm going to secure them down with epoxy. But but I had said it in a previous video that I was going to make a tongue for it. This is dental acrylic, and on my hands it's shiny. But what I'm doing is I'm mixing the monomer and dental acrylic, and Vaseline's on my hand acts like a barrier. But I kind of just need this little shape out of a tongue and just kind of lay it in place, because the teeth still going to have to, the upper teeth is going to still have to close, but this tongue won't move. It's just going to lay into the palate, because when the creature's mouth's open, at least you'll see some kind of shape of a tongue, give a little bit more realism. But after I mix the monomer, make a kind of a putty mix, and give it a few minutes to kind of cure a little bit, and then it'll become like a dough piece. And I just kind of form this little piece of acrylic into kind of a tongue shape, and then I'll put the upper on to make sure there's clearance, because when it closes, that way it won't interfere with the closing mechanism part of the animatronic. But I'll just kind of press in a little detail and press a little shape, and you can get you a pretty good shape of a tongue. Then I'll take this rag wheel right here, and this is kind of like it's kind of like a canvas wheel, and then the shine is like a felt wheel. But I'm using medium grain pumice in water, and I'll just high shine it with this dental lathe. And this is the high shine wheel, which this is more of a felt wheel. And then I have some rouge right here. And this is just a compound, so it'll put a high shine onto the dental acrylic. And you know, I've had this dental lathe for 30 years and use it for my art, and just absolutely love a dental lathe. But here it is. It's all shiny and nice now. But I'm gonna throw some some brown Testors model airplane paint. And what that does is, it'll go in the deep crevices and just doing a little shading effect onto the teeth again. They've just been sitting in here waiting to be placed into the animatronic. But I just do a quick high shine here, and then I'm going to come back and add some stain with the Testors model airplane paint. I enjoy making creature teeth. It's just fun. But these are half the size of a human denture. But I'll just mix up some Testors model airplane paint and a little, I guess, paint thinner, and just kind of do a dry brush with a cotton ball or some kind of sponge of some sort. But here, what I'm doing is that I'm going to seat these teeth. Now, once again, they're just going to be glued in place, and it kind of needs to be centered. But I'm going to glue the bottom one that has a tongue in it in there first, and just set it in place and let it cure a little bit. Make sure I got clearance on that lower lip and so on and so forth. But I've unplugged the jaw, so when I insert the upper into it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to close the mouth to hold the creature denture in place. But as you see here, I'm just making sure that I have clearances from all the other controls. But as you see here, I got it seated, and but you'll see it like that's releasing how it was. Just what I did is I closed the jaw and then I turned off the battery, and that way it just stayed in that pressed position. But overall, I'm happy with the teeth now. I got them all secured in place with the epoxy. And but okay, now here, this is where I was talking about stops. And as you see here, I kind of did a freeze frame here. And that's just, without the skull piece, I don't know how far I can go as far as the movement. So later on, you'll see me, probably when I have the skin on, you'll see me where I'm going to be adjusting that movement less. That way it won't be lifting the lid up. But that was just me testing the movements without the skull. But now you see here, as far as the movement's working, that way that that middle or center brow will move pretty clear. And another thing, what I did was, like I was telling you earlier, now I'm going to play this in a ×4 speed, and you can kind of see what I'm looking at as far as getting it to, so you can visually see the movements up close. Now this is ×4 speed here. But I'm happy with the movements. I'm just want everything to move and no hiccups. And then now what I'm going to do is finish up on the herring of the creature so we can attach it to the animatronic. And that way we can make this thing come alive. Overall, I have some other things in the works as far as that wolf, and we're going to get it up and running soon. But I hope y'all like this, and I appreciate all the comments and the subscribers and the sharing. I appreciate y'all, and we're going to get this thing up and running, hope by the end of the month. But thank y'all again. Y'all have a good day. Later. Hello, everyone. This is 3D printed animatronic creature part 47, herring and skin placement. I've been doing a lot of work on the animatronic. It's been kind of a crazy month, which is May. Last month was crazy, but it's been also crazy this month. But I've been working on other projects too. and I just wanted to show you, here's some teeth that I've worked on. This is 2017. Now this is like around when I got my very first printer, but and this is PLA, and as you see, I pumice it and tie shine this PLA plastic right here, and it smoothed out really good, and it even tie shined. But I just wanted to show you what I've been working on is a very large denture. But as you see here, I've done other designs, converting PLA or printed dentures into real dentures. But I've made a lot of teeth in my time. But but as you see here, here's our teeth that we've designed for the animatronic project. But if and this is the largest set of human dentures I've ever made, and this is pretty good size. And this one right here, if you remember, I showed y'all this a while back. But these are the teeth I'm going to make animatronic dentures. And, and the process of doing this is I'm mixing up a monomer and dental acrylic, and this is A2 acrylic shade, and I'm going to cast these teeth first, and then what I'm going to do is put these teeth right here into the pressure pot and let them cure, and then after I let them cure for like 20 minutes, maybe a little shorter, but and it will dental acrylic cures pretty quick. This is self-cure acrylic. And after I get these, uh, I'll cast it here. I'll go in between the gingiva here and just straighten them all out. And I use some other burrs and things like that, but I didn't show you here on this video. But it's kind of a time-consuming process, but it really turns out well. And when I insert these teeth after I trim, I'll put Vaseline on the top of these areas of the teeth where the teeth, so that way I won't get any acrylic sticking to these teeth, the pink acrylic. But what I did here is I took this gum right here, and this is the gum that's on the large animatronic, and I'm going to make animatronic dentures. And as you see here, this I turned the same the denture part as you see on the bottom there. I turned it into uh, a mole by reversing the faces, and then I made a mole so I could do this, so I could remove or have the area of the denture in the denture itself. As you see here, it just snaps in place. So technically, this is an animatronic denture. And that's what I've been working on, but I still have a lot more to do. I need to make uh, a rugae area for the upper and a space for the tongue on the lower. And but I still have to clean up. I have to add some acrylic to it, and then I want to put uh, a high shine on it. But I also got some good wet look material from Monster Makers. But here's me herring, and I've done a lot of herring on this. I would say it's about 3 days, and I spent a few hours. Punching hair takes some time. It's I mean I mean some people are really masters at this, but I'm trying to keep this kind of light so you can kind of see the head. It's like this is an alien creature, and I'm not putting that many hairs in each, I guess, pore. But I, I'm at the time now where I'm getting ready to take this off so I can put it on the animatronic. But my thing is that, uh, uh, and I'm going to be reducing the size of my needle to get, you know, uh, individual hairs in the front of this, as you see here. And but I just want to, I need to add the hair around the mouth or the chin area. I'd like to have it kind of a form of a simple goatee, and just hairs that throughout the on the front of the face. Just do more individual hairs, and that will be a smaller needle outlet that I just have to just cut away and just you know put in some individual hairs, and it does make it look better. But each time that you see me lay this hair, I'm dipping my needle, my tool, in silicone. That way, it will secure in place when the silicone collapses, there will be some kind of silicone adhesive there. And once again, that makes it time consuming. And you could spend a lot longer time than I have on this and get it even finer look. But I'm still trying to keep I like this doll look on the alien creature, and I'm just gonna keep it like that, but I still want to add more hair throughout the face area, the eyebrows, and maybe a like a little hairs like I guess a small mustache, but not all the way over, But and what I'm going to do, I'm going to get ready to put this on the animatronic. So I'm doing some pre-cuts, and a lot of this I can trim when it's off this core, but also I can trim when it's on the animatronic because I don't want to cut too much off. I can go by the guide that I have as far as the core. But as you see here, this is what hair I have, and I'm gonna put some on the chin and the jaw, but I'm really happy with it. But man, when you're doing this, you're gonna have hair everywhere. But as far as hair work, overall, from what y'all have seen already, what I've done, and from to go to the top of the head, that was a good maybe 10 hours of work. And I'm thinking that I probably pressed or punched probably over 500 times. But here I'm setting up the animal, trying to get everything, all the all the pieces to get centered. As you see here, as the brows go center. But like there's some movements here on the center brow that I just got to make sure everything is in the right location so I can, because they have sockets in the silicone, and I might have to still apply adhesive to. Now the adhesive is going to it's a tricky situation because you can only put adhesive in certain areas, and sometimes what the problem is it's hard to get to it. What I can glue. But as far as the lips are going to have adhesive on them, and the eyelids, and it's just a little adhesive on the eyelids. That way it will, so they'll blink and it'll look natural. But and then you have the upper lip, and then you have the upper center lip, and then you have the lower center lip. So, and that's what I'm been working on, and as you see here, I just trying to get everything going. And I got this bag here, and that's just something for me to lay it on because once again, when you have silicone, it attracts anything as far as any kind of particles like hair. It's going to stick to it, and it's not sticking to it. I guess it's like I would describe it more like a static, but it's like a static cling. But I'm taking my time removing this. Now, gravity is also helping me here, but you just don't want to yank it or just pull off real quick because I still got these, like the lip areas here that need to come slowly pulled away because I just don't want to put no hole in it. And this is pretty strong stuff, but I just don't want to go I don't want to test it too far as a stretch. But as you see here, I'm just doing some little, you know, taking all these little small pieces of waste silicone around the eyelids. And as soon as, another thing, when it's on the animatronic, I can trim. I have something to go by, and I can really get down with it with some scissors and even some other tools that will cut it a little bit cleaner, I guess it would be. But it's coming along. But it's pretty fun doing this right here. Now, I started at the top now. You could do it on the front, but I have to pull it over the primary head to go over over the neck. And I'm not stretching it too far. But like here, everything has to be kind of centered. And, if the eyelid fits good on one side and it's not fitting good on the other, because it's supposed to lay upon the animatronic lids. And that way, if it's a little, it's just one of these things is where you grab the silicone and you roll it forward or you roll it back, and then you might have to, you know, it's just detailing how it's on there. As you see here, I'm rolling the silicone to match the eyelids, and it's this 1 degree off, and it can kind of throw it off by placing it on the animatronic. But I just slowly just work it, get it in there just right, and I feel like I can go, and then I can start trimming even better, and then also trim around this area here around the chest piece. But once again, this is a serious prep for applying the silicone adhesive to the animatronic. Like, it needs to be attached, and you'll see me do these tests in a minute where I'm actually going to make it move so I can have this silicone skin settle in the right place. And then, excuse my big bald head there, but I'm just sitting there just trying to make sure that, you know, one side of the eyelids is further open than the other one. But then, like right here, I'm pressing, that's the center brow right there in that socket. And everything just has to be lined up. And I'm just trying not to be off by any, because it will make it look different. But I'm sitting here and I want to do a test. There's no adhesive applied here. And I'm just doing a movement, get everything settled in place. There's as you see, I feel like the skin lips need to scoot over a little bit. Now, as you see here, it's not attaching to the chest area. Now, remember on a couple videos back, I showed you where I had to fix this chest area to make it shorter, or the original size that I had this neck. So what I did is I did this test so I could see where actually I need to apply the glue here. But as far as the glue, like as you see here, I'm holding it. I just, uh, it fits the animatronic chest piece, but the weight of the silicone is pulled down by gravity, and it makes it a little longer. But as you see here, if I hold it like this, I just wanted to show you this. There's no adhesive once again, but you'll see me do my gimbal test on how far I can actually look. Now, I wanted to show you this because this looks kind of it looks kind of wicked, you know what I'm saying? It's cool as shit to me. But overall, it's coming along pretty good. I just have to get ready once again, trying to attach this animatronic together with adhesive so we can get this thing up and running. Well, overall, I'm happy with the test, and but now once again, I need to get this secured before I start really doing some programming with the animatronic movements. And that way we can see this thing come alive. But I appreciate everybody, and thank you for all the questions and comments. And hey, I appreciate y'all. Uh, and once again, I hope y'all subscribe and like and comment. But I appreciate y'all. Once again, we'll have this up and running probably the next video. Thanks a lot, y'all. Y'all have a good one. Later. Hello, everyone. I hope y'all are doing well. This is 3D Printed Animatronic Creature, Part 48, Final Hair Work. Once again, I hope y'all are doing well, and I appreciate the comments from video 47 and also the making large denture teeth for the other large animatronic. But I've been having a lot of things going on this month, and I wanted to post something, but we're at that point to where we're about to start making it move. And I might have said that last time, but boy, hair work's taking a long time, but it's just so tedious. But I wanted to kind of show y'all this process, and this whole thing is just about the hair work. And, you know, when you do this project, you can, especially with hair. Now, you don't really have to hair the creature if you don't want to. You could have it completely, a few hairs like eyebrows or goatee or whatever. But, I just wanted to put some hair on it. But, and I'm not trying to cover the detail of the sculpture. I'm just trying to give it a good look as far as, if it was like a alien hybrid creature. But once again, to hair workers, for dolls, silicone dolls, and the makeup effects and the film industry and the wig makers also, you know, thumbs up to them, because it is very tedious. Now here, if you see, I got some new scissors for the trimming, and I'm just kind of trimming this just as far as testing right now because I recently got these new I guess cuticle, but man, these things are sharp, and I just like, it cuts the silicone really well. But overall, I just sat here and just kept, punching hairs. Each time I'll dip that needle in silicone, and then I'll punch the hair in, and sometimes they get like groups of hair, and then you'll see sometimes I'll pull it out. But then you also see sometimes where I'll punch the hair and there's no hair in there in that little socket groove of the cut needle. But it's just a time consuming, and plus I'm looking through loops because you know 62 vision's kind of hard. But it I'm really happy with the results. But and once again, I still got a lot of trimming to do, and which won't take long at all. But around the base of the chest area and the back, and then also the lips and the eyelids. But I'm hoping to have this thing up and running because it's it's wanting to come alive. So, but I hope y'all are doing well. But once again, it's just been, here in the South, it's been hot, and we've been having some high temperatures. Uh, Louisiana has very high humidity, and I had to do a barbecue, and I got out in it. I started cooking at 5:30 in the morning because come 10 o'clock, I'm drenched. I'm ready for a shower. But but overall, it's just kind of tedious work. And once again, this probably might be 4 days, and I'll come in there and I'll punch. Cause see, like right here, I'm standing up, and I'm having to look through these loops to push it in place. But but overall, I wanted to show you this process, and if you wanted to do hair, and once again, it really looks good. Because it looks like it's coming out of pores, and I'm just really pleased with it. But it is a very tedious process. I would like to say thank you for all the comments. Really appreciate it, and I try to answer them. But a lot of times, it's just so busy trying to get a lot of this stuff done. I'm trying to, push myself to get so I can get this thing moving and complete. And that way, y'all can actually see this creature come alive. But as far as someone commented, a really nice comment about, you know, my content, even though I do have low views. And a lot of that is the algorithm is like, they recommend you post 3 videos a month as like a minimum. And I've been getting just maybe one. But, a lot of this is time consuming. Like the hair work is very time consuming. And then I'm trying to film it. And I try to film this whole process of me hairing this part to where I was hairing the jawline and the eyebrows and around the ears and, just like little smaller hairs, not a whole lot of group hairs. But, this is, once again, it's like an alien hybrid, I guess. But overall, I'm just trying to, you know, get this thing ready so I can make it move. I've also been working on these giant teeth, and that's also time consuming because I'm at the point to where I'm redesigning the gums again, so I can go ahead and put magnets in there and have uh, to secure them with glue. I had an incident where the upper is just so large and has some weight to it. I'm gonna insert magnets in the denture so that way it will, you know, be removable and stay in place. But it's coming along. I have to grind out holes where the magnets go in the dental acrylic itself, and it's kind of like do a new like a reline denture to add the magnets to it. But overall, this is coming along, and sometimes I have to edit my head out because I have to see because I'm laying this I'm laying this needle a certain way in a certain direction. And like here, I've laid down the whole creature, and I got the tripod on the table so y'all won't see my bald head. I guess overall, this is probably 8 days. And don't get me wrong, I'm not sitting down and doing this because I want the silicone to dry around the hair, because when I punch it through, it's carrying the silicone adhesive through that hole, and it's creating a new bond. So, and and once again, I guess I might spend maybe 3 hours a day on it, and also, there's sometimes I just don't film because I have to get in the way. I got to see where I'm punching at, but and and I believe this is what I'm using here is goat hair. The main hair that's on the back of the head and kind of the receding hairline area is yak, and then also some around I guess in the chin area is also some horse hair, or like below the ear area there. It's and then but some of the goat hair is a little finer, and I can punch. I try to punch individual hairs as much as I can, and if anything, I can cut around that. I guess the like the follicle area there, and I can kind of remove some of the hair. And you'll see in the video sometime, if it's not too fast, where I'm actually pulling out hair. But overall, it's come along pretty good. But mainly is I've done one side and I have to mirror it on the other side. And it's just a basic match, but when I set a mirror behind it, I'm getting the image that I need to where to punch the hair to kind of keep it, you know, uh, you know, correct as far as symmetry. But but once again, I'm dipping it in the silicone and then I'm punching it through, and then sometimes like the silicone adhesive, which is that seal epoxy from Smooth On. I'll put a little dab on a mixing stick, and I'll just dip my needle in there, and that takes probably about 8 minutes. It's time to add some more silicone, some newer, because it's starting to set up, and it's about an 8 minute work time for just dipping a needle in there, and then once again it'll seal up, but and I'll let it like dry overnight, and then it'll be in there pretty good. It's snug. I mean, yeah, I could probably rip it out, but now this hair right here is kind of thick, and brushing it with a a brush or even a comb, it would probably might pull it out. But I just do a light, I guess a tease or whatever, just kind of pat it down, and I'll probably put a bunch of hairspray on it to lay some of them down, especially on the eyebrows. But it gives it character and it's looking good. But overall, I'm happy with it. But it is, I can tell y'all, it's really time consuming, and you could probably spend a lot more time on it than I have. Now, on the next video, I'm going to start using the adhesive. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it down on its back of the head, and then the area around where the eyelids axis support is there, I'm going to put glue there. But I've designed this little table to lay on the face to sit that leg of that table onto that area that I'm trying to secure the skin. And I'm going to put a little weight on there, but y'all will see that in the next video. But overall, here's the hair work, and I'm happy with it. And but I'll probably do some combing, and maybe there might be some places where I might add a couple little hairs here and there. But I just wanted to get this basically done here. But this is where I could start going ahead and doing adhesive. But I'm going to put Velcro all the way around uh, the base, the chest piece area, and then I'm going to use adhesive to glue the Velcro to the skin, and just do a trial so I can, if I have any things to do work wise, I can just remove the Velcro as far as peel it off. But look, I really appreciate y'all, and thank y'all for the comments. And comments help the algorithm in YouTube. But but our thumbs up and subscribe. Hey, I appreciate y'all. I hope y'all like. We're gonna get this thing moving soon. Later. Hello everyone, this is 3D printed animatronic creature part 49, and I'm applying silicone adhesive, which is from Smooth On, and it's the seal epoxy. And well, I just wanted to show you how I went about applying adhesive to these eyelids. And I kind of wish I would have, in my design, and it would have to be also applied to the animatronic, and that would be, and I'm going to start doing this. I also had the same issue with that little small monkey, the first skin test I ever did, and there is some type of shrinkage, but yet it could be, you know, a little bit tighter on the whole animatronic. But like you see here, I wish there was a, see, I want that to go down, but it's still not quite fitted right. You know, I need to make some movements to kind of get things to settle in right, but I wish I had a joint right there. Now the joint would have anything, it would need to just be stationary, like another socket for the skin to fit on. But I had to make movements for each of the brow. You have the two main brow and you have the center brow. But I wanted to make sure if I did some movements, it would get fitted in their sockets. As you see here, here's the joints here, and it makes a socket into the silicone skin. But it's kind of tedious doing the adhesive and the buildup of this actually starting to apply it, because you don't want to mess up, you know. But you know, I made these little devices to hold the glue in place because you know, you have that elastic, you know, everything's kind of stretchy, and when you want to apply adhesive and it's 2 millimeters down to touch it, you know, you want to you you don't want to sit there and hold it for 10 minutes. And I mean, you do what you can, but it that gets old pretty quick. But as far as what I did is I just went ahead and started gluing the eyelids, because the center brow and the main brows were actually they did fit their socket, and I was happy with that. And but and I did some little test movements, but you know, I did this trimming because you would, and and the silicone is kind of, it's a difficult medium, because anything you cut away, it just automatically attaches back because of that. I guess you know, it's just the way silicone is a lot of things just stick to it. And like, but what I did here is I unplugged. Now this is a different servo controller. This is my other one from uh, RC Endurance. And the reason why I put this in here, because I would like to go ahead, and you could probably get a 12 channel, not a 12 channel, the, I guess it's a 24 channel from Maestro. And but I just went ahead and just used this servo controller, because if I ever had added a body, I'd have all this servo controller, you know, ready for the extra servos. But I'm going to put the other controller back on here later. But what I'm just doing here is just, you know, making sure that everything's going to be glued right. So I have to turn on, like, for instance, now this is the movements for the brow, but anyway, it's coming along, but like for the eyelids, I have to turn on the eyelids so I can get them in the right position to kind of match the core. But what I would do is I would hook up that channel and I would move it up and down, and this is when I'm trying to get it in the socket. And it's in the socket, but I want to make sure, and I don't have the footage. I did film it, but I pulled the eyelid up so I could see the socket itself. Now this is the center brow. Just the main thing is I'm just trying to get them in the sockets. And this is where I wish I would have had that extra attachment right there in between the eyes. And I'm going to start using that in my design, like I said before. It's just, uh, I mean, it fits great. It's coming along great. It's just that, you find out later you wish you would have done that, in the design. And this is one of them. And I have another in the mole on the core. I want to go with another hole that goes straight through, and that will give me, a lot more, pour, able to pour smoother. But that's been in the design works too. But here's the main brow and the center brow working at the same time. And I'm loving the movement, and they are in the sockets. But what's going to really make it look even better is when I glue the eyelids. It's, I'm loving the movements. It's great. I just want to get these eyelids in their correct position to match up to the core. And that way, the eyelids and the skin will fall in place also, and that's where I want to glue it. And usually, the way when you design your animatronic, you have the mouth a little open, and you have your eyelids like mid open, that way, or mid close, and that way you can easily close the lids. But as you see here, both of these brows are moving, and you see here I'm trying to center. The eyelids are working. I just want to make sure that I have this in the right position before gluing. But here I'm cutting away the silicone that becomes that has became flat in the core process. So I want to kind of round that flatness off, and plus it will give it a little bit more, I guess, space for any kind of movements. And the lower movement here is kind of tricky, and I wish I would have made uh, my mechanism a little closer to the lips, but it's just a millimeter, I make it a little longer to, be inside the lip more, but it was just so tight, back, I didn't think about that. But once again, you find things that, I mean, it will still work, but I wish I would have more, I guess, length of the lip in there. But, and I could probably, do it, but see, I'm pulling these out of their sockets, as you see the upper, and that's 2 channels. There's 3 channels for the whole lip, and I just pulled them out of their sockets, and you see that that edge I need to cut away there. But and what I'm going to be what I'm using for the silicone is disposable, and I cut some of uh, them hairs off, kind of make it a little bit more stout, I guess, more strength in the bristles. But it's just to build up the nerve, and you just jump on in there and let's glue these lids. And what I'm doing is I'm just applying a thin coat of this smooth on silpoxy, and I'm just, and this place here, like, if I can get that covered, that mechanism area, because it's not quite in this little socket area, but I want to make sure, look, and you'll find hairs in there. And that's from the inside punching through. But you don't want to put anything on the mechanism of the eyelid mechanism anyway, because you don't want to lock it up, because you don't want to put any or get close to getting any glue in that mechanism, because that'd be a disaster. And that's another iffy part. But you see here, I'm just applying a little bit, and just kind of, and they kind of conform to the eyelid the way I sculpted it in the design. I wish I would have made it thicker, but and then once again, when you make it too thick, it looks too I don't know. I'm trying to go on for realism, but and I put some coins on that on the eyelids. It's a bag of coins, and I just put it in cellophane, and I laid it on top, so it would press on that socket when it's laying down position. But here's the movements here as far as blinking and moving the just doing some test blinks, because I'm working this with the radio now. This is 3 channels, and I'm testing and the next video you'll see me do will be checking the movements for the lips. That's 3 channels, and 4 counting the jaw. But here I applied a little bit of adhesive to the chest area, because once again I had to hold that area down last time because it didn't have adhesive on it. But I just put these in. This kind of, I let it set up about 6-7 hours, and then but as far as the movements, I'm really impressed with it. But here's some more test movements of the eyelids, and I'm going to speed it up in a minute, and you'll see kind of a flow. But this is with a channel 3, and I'm just using the joystick, making sure the movements. But then when I get moving the brow and the other brow, it really starts to come alive. But I'm happy with the results, and it's a long time in the making, and I'm happy with it. Now I'm just testing to see how it's closing, make sure everything is good, and I'll probably have to come back and make adjustments. And it'll be a little spot there that's stretched out a little bit, and I'll sit there and I'll make a little device where I can hold that or press that silicone into the skin. Once again, it's just hard to sit there and wait for it to dry. You got to make some way to press it. But here's a sped up version, and you can see here what it's going to be like. But I hope y'all like. Let me know what y'all think. Later. Hello everyone, I hope y'all are doing well. This is 3D printed animatronic creature part 50, test movements, lips, and gimbal. Well, I just wanted to show y'all what I've been doing. I'm getting ready to start doing some programming, but I had to test all the movements first. But the first thing I did is I popped the lower off of the lower teeth off the jaw. And I need to make some adjustments to those teeth and kind of shave them down a little bit so I could get some more clearance, and plus close the mouth a little bit, or it would make, the lips come closer. But overall, it's coming around really well. I'm really happy with it. And but as you see here, I got to make sure the bite stays the same, so I shave the bottom off the teeth. But I wanted to make sure, because the lip movements are maybe anywhere from 4 to 6 millimeters all, because this is a small creature. So I guess I'm doing some little dentistry. But right here, that center lip is a problem. And but it's not matching up to the set on the core. So I needed to make some adjustments to that too, and you'll see later. But as you see here, I just took some sandpaper and just slowly, removed some of the bottom and flattened it out so I could match it up. But if you see here on this lower lip, it goes into a socket. Well, if I have a silicone that's attached to that lip, that's going to create a stop. But the stop is at the bottom of the teeth. So if I shave some of the teeth down some, and I can close that lip area so it won't be open. It might be a partial opening for the lips, but it'll look better when it's moving. But as you see here, I kind of shaved it down some, and I'm using the RC unit to close it, to close the jaw and hold the teeth in place, and just doing some testing. But it's coming around, and I had intentions to do silicone on the to do some silicone on the jaw, but I decided not to because it does this effect where the teeth go underneath the lips when it's moving. The skin's not attached. It has an illusion of the lower teeth going behind the lips. But overall, it's just doing some, I guess, creature dentistry. Just adjusting the bite, making sure that, I mean, I might have shaved off a millimeter, maybe two, but it's giving me a lot more, you know, eh, I am shooting for realism, but and another thing, this silicone, you know, I've worked with silicone for a long time, and the thing about it is everything sticks to silicone. And it's just, I'm going to have to get a blower and blow all this stuff before I get it going. But I'm happy with the results of doing the teeth a little bit, and it's closing the lips a little bit. But as you see here, I had it set, and I need to add an extension to this lip movement. So I just made a little bitty piece, had it printed, and extended a little bit. But also, if these mechanisms have a socket of silicone, there's something on the silicone's going to be on the bottom of the movement. And I cannot have that silicone touching the teeth because it might bind it, it might not move well. But as you see here, I glued those outside upper lips first, let them set up, and then now I'm just applying some for the lower lip. I'm placing some silicone on there, some silpoxy from Smooth On, and I applied it on there, and I let these two set. And I put them back into their original sockets. But that was a problem with that center upper lip, but I made adjustments, added a little bit to it. But here's the lip test. And but now it's in a bind because I have that support. Now, if I remove that support, the head's going to go down. And that's just, part of it. But I'm just doing some quick tests. And I mainly tested my upper lip. But as you see here, the side pieces, the side upper lips will move. But here's a gimbal test I'm setting up now. As you see, I'm getting ready to remove that support because now the servos are supporting the head. And you might have remembered in the last video, I glued the chest piece on. And this is mainly why I'm testing these movements. And I am using the RC controller, but I'm testing all these movements on the RC controller first before I put it on the BSA. But I'm just doing the left-right movement and the gimbal mechanism where he'll tilt his head. And I'm really impressed. I'm happy with it. The gluing of the chest piece area, like y'all seen in the previous video, it's holding. It's great, and I'm loving it. What do y'all think? I'm liking I'm liking these movements. It's really, I'm really happy. And this was one of the main goals of doing a full head animatronic creature silicone skin, so I could get that look, because this adds a whole nother dimension of realism for an animatronic. So for the next test, I want to put this in the glass dome to see how my movements are inside this glass dome. But it's just a simple movement. I don't want to, get down on the movements and test on how far, because I want to get my animatronic working first before I just don't want to push it, And another thing, that being a small animatronic, I just don't know as far as the EcoFlex 10. I just, I'm happy with it. It's reaching what I'm really wanting it to do. But what do y'all think about this? I think it's a pretty cool movement. Everything is coming along. So now what I need to do is put everything on the servo controller, and I'm going to pull up VSA, and I'm trying to get everything so I can get another movement, the final movement of everything, and also do some maybe some programming where you actually see like it's talking and things like that with VSA. I can import, or I can create an audio file and add some it talking, things like that. And but as you see here, the bottom lip is, see, nothing else is connected. It's just the gimbal. But I'm happy with it, and I hope y'all like. Please, thanks for the comments and the subscribers and likes and shares. But I hope y'all like, and be sure to leave a comment. Let me know, and a thumbs up. It helps me. Later. Have a good one.